See, week one was just riddled with just insanity from the NFL. Week two was injuries. Now the theme for week three was just I don't know what the hell is going on at this point. 2020 is in full effect, and that's taking place very evidently on the field. But this is, of course, our week three NFL recap show. Your host Ross Allen with once again Alex Kropp over here. We're here to talk some smack about your favorite team, and we're here to break down every single game that happened. And the first one we need to talk about was the illustrious. Why does it seem?
I mean, do we have to talk? I mean, we do, right?
Dude, my thing is though,
Theoretically.
I'm so confused. Why does every single Thursday night football game, at least on paper, look like one of the worst games you could actually schedule? How do they
So
keep on
here's so
doing
here's
this?
here's the actual reason. Fox picks up the broadcast about I think it's either week 5 or week 6. So once that starts happening and it gets off of the NFL network that they do at the first couple weeks, then you'll start getting some good matchups roll in where you get some actual divisional rivals and teams that aren't the Dolphins and the Jaguars. And it feels like every team that is playing right now is some sort of off orange mustard color that's just it doesn't look good on the field unless it's the color rush uniforms.
Well, at
But
least this Thursday we get an actual orange in the Denver
yeah, oh my
Broncos.
gosh, that is one of the worst matchups I think you could put on paper.
Broncos
But
Jets, Brett Rippin, Sam Darnold, but that's not what we're
oh
here to
my
talk
gosh,
about. We're here to talk about
no.
the Dolphins and the Jags, beard versus mustache, and the beard won in a resounding fashion. The Fitz magic cycle continues of where he gets a start, he gets a big win over a kind of a crappy team, and then he just doesn't do anything the rest of the year. Gets cut, then resigns with a different team, and then the whole cycle continues. This is what we got here. Fitz Magic, 18 for 20, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns with one rushing touchdown as well. And Minshew Mania was quiet for at least this week, with him only having 275 yards and an interception. This was easily his worst game of the season. A little bit of a hiccup. I don't know. I still like Minshew though. Is the thing. I'm not putting
Yeah,
too
I
much
mean,
weight
I
on
mean,
this
this
game.
is, I think this is one of those games where Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and I think he sat down Gardner Minshew and said, "Hey, man, like this is kind of my role in the NFL for the last 7, 8 years. So I'm gonna need you to take a back seat for a little bit until I retire." But I mean, and the funny thing is, on a flip side, Fitzmagic kind of had a Gardner Minshew-esque game from week one where he only had two incompletions, threw for two tuds, ran a touchdown in.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of one of your games where Fitzpatrick didn't do anything to lose the game. The Jags kind of stalled out on some drives. I think they were able to kind of push the ball up and down the field. They just couldn't put the ball into the end zone. I
Mm-hmm.
think losing DJ Chark was definitely not ideal from the get go, just because
You
they,
can say
all
that.
those
Yeah.
the second receiver and the third receiver, Keelan Cole and Laviska Shenault, are great in their roles. But when you move them up and now they're facing the number one and number two corners, and not the two and the slot corner respectively, it just kind of throws your offense off a little
Yeah.
bit. And the Jaguars are a team that does not need any setbacks to have some sort of good offensive showing. So I
Mm-hmm.
think this was just the Jags came in with a little steam. They kind of got knocked down and pegged. The Dolphins played two really hard teams the first 2 weeks and kind of beat up on a lesser opponent.
Hey, I'm okay with this. So it was a good Thursday night football game. The
Yeah.
previous week was way better, but I guess it's probably going better than this week's at least. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fair to say. The next game though is it might be my favorite game from the week, not in terms of the action we saw on the field, but just in terms of how it played out. Bears at the Falcons. The Falcons back to back weeks blow a double digit lead. They were up 26 to 10 the third. The second game of the road, they had over a 99% chance of winning this game. But what do you know, Alex? Oh, Mitch Trubisky gets benched. Who comes in? None other than Big Dick Nick.
BDN as they
BDN.
call them.
BDN just goes running wild all over that Falcons defense. He allows for them to come all the way back, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns in his return to the gridiron. And now he even gets a start for this week. I mean, it's safe to say, Mr. Trubisky, your career is over, buddy, because it's the Schlonger that has taken over in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, this is and Nick Foles' stat line even looks a little deceiving at the end of it because his one interception that he had was
This
actually a semi touchdown that Allen Robinson just got the ball ripped from him in the end zone and
Yeah.
put a little hiccup on Nick Foles' stat line there. But I think there's kind of two big storylines here. Obviously, you have Mitch getting benched here, and it was odd the timing that it happened. I mean, as a guy that just does not think Mitch Trubisky is a good quarterback,
No.
I even thought it was a little bit weird that a 2-0 team that, I mean, they were down obviously a considerable margin, but it's not like Trubisky was, throwing 3 interceptions in the
I was
first
kind of
half.
surprised.
Peter Manesque.
I mean,
It was weird timing, but
he had the good week 1. He had the Mitch week 2. But we've seen plenty of Mitch games, and Matt Nagy hasn't had the. I'm more impressed that Matt Nagy had the balls to take him out of the game.
exactly. And I think it helps a little bit that it's Nick Foles and it's a guy that's done it before. And if it was another rookie that hadn't
You
proven
mean
anything
Super
before,
Bowl
it'd be a little
champion Nick Foles?
Exactly. Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
MVP.
And
You're damn right.
yeah, and I think the other side of the coin here is the Falcons are just, I mean, it's almost unfathomable how bad you have to play to lose those 2 leads in back-to-back weeks. I mean, they had the games already in. Oh my God!
It's inexcusable.
The games
It's
were in
straight
the
up
bag. The
inexcusable.
games were in the bag, and they could not close it away. Something about that offense, they're able to put up points when there's no scoreboard pressure the other way. I mean, some people are like, "Oh my gosh, there's scoreboard pressure. I got to go throw the ball now." But when they're up by a ton and the defense is obviously having to play more aggressive, they just get super conservative, super tight. No matter if it's in the first
correct
half,
me if
second
I'm
half,
wrong,
it doesn't matter.
Didn't we talk about firing a certain someone along with a few others? But we, Dan Quinn, we kind of talked about getting his ass out of Atlanta. They need a culture
Yeah, he needs
change
to be
there.
gone.
And
Yesterday.
how the hell is he not fired now? How is he not gone?
I mean, here's the thing: is if you don't fire him after week 2, okay, I get it. He's got his tenure there, but you don't fire him after week 3. At what point can you fire him? Because this is a low point right now. All he's going to do is, maybe continue to win a couple more games, and then you can't fire him. This is your one shot.
Arthur
What are they doing?
Blank, you need to do better. You need to actually grow a pair
Much better.
as an owner. You need to fire Dan Quinn at least. Hell, maybe
Yeah.
even start cleaning house. Because
Agreed.
you have the talent on the field. You have Calvin Ridley.
The only thing that
doing
needs to
everything.
change is the coaching staff,
Yes.
because the product on the field is so dang good.
The talent is all there. It's the coaching staff. Blow it up, Falcons. It's long overdue. Now the next game was one of the biggest ones to look forward to of the week. It was a real battle of the 2-0 teams, with the Rams going to Buffalo. And the first half, it looked like the Bills were just going to run away with this one. But the problem here, Alex, is the Bills got out to a 28-3 lead.
Uh-oh.
Oh, 28-3. We all know what that means. It means
That's never a good sign.
it's game over. I mean, it almost was. The Rams came back. They took the lead 32-20 with with less than a minute to go. Is one of his 5 touchdowns. Josh Allen comes up clutch in that with like 14 seconds to go in the game. And can we talk about how Josh Allen may be, if it wasn't for Russell Wilson and if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes, I think he'd be the MVP or the MVP leader right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you look at the beginning of the year and you see Josh Allen and you see the weapons they put around him in the season he had last year. I mean, he's essentially a goal line quarterback with a rocket arm. It's really kind of crazy the jump he's made from year 2 to year 3, because he looks more poised. Even though he's making dumb plays, it seems like he's just more in control of the offense. It doesn't seem like it's moving too fast for him anymore.
Well, see, the thing
He's
is,
got
he
weapons.
makes
He's
dumb
able
plays.
to stretch the field.
But he makes those dumb plays with 100% confidence.
Oh, agreed. And I think one of the big things here was the Rams had a really, really tough travel spot. They played in the East Coast last week. They went back to the West Coast for some reason. I mean, Stan Kroenke's one of the richest NFL owners. They can put him up in a freaking hotel for the weekend or for the week, but then they had to travel across another 3,000 miles back to the East Coast. They looked like they were sleepwalking in the first half, and they ended up finding something in the second half where, Cooper Kupp finally got involved. Darrell Henderson looked like what he was at Memphis. They were able to hold that comeback. Another bad PI call decides a game in the NFL. I mean, this is the storyline that's never going to end, it seems like. But
I'm not surprised
I think
at this point.
these are just 2 really, really good teams. And I think it was great for the Bills to get out to that lead, but I think it was even more telling about Josh Allen and this Bills team that they were able to come back from a touchdown deficit and close the deal on a good Rams team.
The Bills are the real deal, and the Rams are not a team to sleep on because they're one of the best. They might be the best 2-1 team in the NFL right now. Very good possibility of that. Next one, we had the Browns hosting name redacted, and the Browns took this one. And once again, for a consecutive week, this Browns team is good when Nick Chubb is good. About 20 carries, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is the offense at this point. If they don't have a run game, Baker Mayfield is nothing. And that defense is still questionable. And especially with Dwayne Haskins, who might be getting benched for Alex Smith. I'm telling you, Alex, I told you.
Hey.
Comeback player of the year, Alex Smith. It's going to happen.
I hope I'm wrong on that. I really do.
It's starting now. But Dwayne Haskins is not a quarterback of the future. And the Browns need Nick Chubb. That's why I learned this week.
Agreed. And I think that with Kevin Stefanski and the type of offense he likes to run, he likes running the 2 tight end sets. He likes having one running back 7 to 8 yards in the backfield and 2 weapons on the outside. He had it last year with Diggs and Thielen and with Irv Smith and Kyle Rudolph. And he had that really, really good downhill runner, zone scheme runner in Dalvin Cook last year. And I think Nick Chubb fits that bill completely. And the way that they're going to be able to get the most out of Baker is not taking your 3, 5, 7-step drops. It's play action. It's getting him on the move, allowing him to improvise. He's not the fastest quarterback, but he's able to throw on the run with a lot more accuracy than he does having to stand behind 6'6", 6'7" offensive lineman not being able to see over their freaking shoulder pads. So this is the way that they're going to get the most out of Baker Mayfield. Nick Chubb is the real deal. This offensive line is playing a lot better than last year. I think the addition of their new tackle that they brought in, Jedrick Wills, was a big boost to them. And especially against this Washington team that has an incredible defensive line. I know Chase Young went out midway through the game, but it was telling that they were able to move the ball, especially in the second half on this D-line. I think it's going to bode well moving forward for the Browns.
Hey, shout out to all fantasy owners that put their confidence in Nick Chubb, who were able to snag him in that first round because it is paying dividends right now. And maybe in both yards and touchdowns, those are absolutely huge. And if we're talking
he's going to get the work.
One of the more underrated positions, and a position that could actually change the game if you're playing fantasy football, is the kicker. And that's what the Titans have. Titans and Vikings. They beat the Vikings by 1. But after a very, very shaky week 1, Gostkowski looked awful. He did come up clutch. He kicked a game-winning field goal. That's always fun to talk about. But now he goes out 6 for 6 on his field goals. 1 point after attempt. 19 points. Okay.
Wow.
Gostkowski put the team on his back. And we have Derrick Henry after a shaky start to the season. He finally has first good game of the season, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's what really put together for the Titans. Ryan Tannehill had a bit of an off day, and for Vikings fans, this is absolutely rough. You miss a PAT or a 2-point conversion attempt that if you got that, obviously that 1 point made a huge difference. And the problem for Vikings fans this week is that they can't blame Kirk Cousins for this loss. The problem is Dalvin Cook went off. Kirk Cousins had a better than average game, which is, I guess, what you expect from him, even though you're paying him $90 million guaranteed. That's besides the point. But that defense, this team was supposed to have a good defense, and they just absolutely suck without Anthony Barr, I guess.
Agreed. And I think there's, couple things that we can take away from this game. A is that I still don't know how good the Titans are. They've played, not great teams. They played the Jags. They've played the Broncos. Sorry to rub salt in that wound. And
No.
Vikings team.
There's no wound anymore. It's scarred.
The combined record of the teams they played is 1-8. So I still don't know how good this Titans team is. The Vikings, the one good thing that you can kind of bring away from this is that their big rookie addition, Justin Jefferson, 7 for 175 and a touchdown. I mean, they were struggling to find a second passing option behind Adam Thielen, and Thielen kind of took a backseat today to Justin Jefferson. So I think they can, if they can get back to that 2 tight end set. Hey, don't worry about that. But if they can get back to their 2 tight end set, running 2 receivers out wide, putting Dalvin Cook in the backfield, and kind of running downhill, running play action, trying to get the ball down the field, which is something that Kirk Cousins actually does decently well. Is run well off play action. So that's kind of their last saving grace for the season. But I think this is gearing more towards a 5-11, 4-12 team. Unfortunately,
it's so weird to say that. I was expecting a lot more out of them. The offense could be better. I've been
sexy pick in the offseason.
They were. I'm disappointed so far by the build of how they've incorporated Kyle Rudolph into the offense. He's a very versatile and talented tight end, and if he could get into the mix more, that offense is going to open up. That's for sure. Now,
although he did have one of those one-handed classic catches that he had in the playoff game where he stabs it with one hand in the back of the end zone, toe taps. I mean, that guy's hands have got to be one of the strongest in the NFL to be able to stab those balls out like that. It's crazy.
It's extremely impressive. Next game on the docket was the Raiders at the Patriots, and it was just a slow start from the Raiders. Kind of ended up doing them in this game. Their first 5 drives when he had 2 fumbles, 2 punts, and a field goal. That's not going to get done, especially in Foxborough. And then we had Rex Burkhead, the white dynamite in the backfield. He steps up big. 3 total tutters in this one. Cam Newton has a decent game, but this was all about Rex Burkhead this week. He took over.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those games where James White's obviously going through a horrible situation with his family, and Rex Burkhead kind of put the team on his back, as they say, and you got 3 touchdowns from scrimmage. I mean, this game actually wasn't as close, or wasn't as lopsided as the scoreboard might say. I mean, the Raiders had I believe it was a series right before the end of half where Hunter Renfrow caught a ball that was either down at the 1 or something
down
like that.
The half-yard line with 7 seconds or something like that to go.
Yeah, and they ended up having to kick a field goal. And then to start out the second half, they go down, they drive all the way down 3 points, and Daniel Carlson misses a field goal, and then Patriots run down, score, and that was kind of the ending of that. And the Patriots just have that kind of offense this year. I mean, they've had it in years past, but I think to an even higher degree this year, where they can just grind out the clock, they can win the time of possession battle, they can sit on the lead, suffocate the defense, and once they get a lead in the second half, it's going to be hard to come back against this team just because of the amount of possessions that they're going to be able to squander for the opponents. And it's just not going to be an easy task if you're ever down in the second half against this Patriots team.
Also, it never helps to be down to the hooded one. It's always a bad luck. Now
don't grab that man's chain.
Don't take his Subway sandwiches, all right? He'll take your sleeves. The next game, we had the Niners last week with 8 guys injured in one game. We were blaming the turf at MetLife. Luckily, all but pretty much Jordan Reed. I feel so bad for Jordan Reed. A lost talent due to injury. That guy could have been so good, but now dislocated knee. He's out for 8 weeks. That's just awful with him. But the Niners, they're not even their backups. Their JV 49er team go into MetLife for the second consecutive week, and they embarrassed the Giants. It was 36-9. It wasn't even close this game. And the thing is that, hell, for the amount of money that they're making, at this point, I'm taking Nick Mullins over Jimmy Garoppolo. 343 yards, a touchdown for less than half the contract. Hey,
I mean, you didn't say it. I just heard it.
Hey,
but this is the same thing that kind of happened 2 years ago in 2018. Nick Mullins came into the Niners. You replaced C.J. Beathard after Jimmy G went down early with the ACL injury. Yeah. And Nick Mullins just kind of is a scrapper. He plays well. I feel like this isn't the right team for him because I picture him more in a team that's he's supposed to underachieve, and he kind of overperforms, and he kind of just comes out of nowhere. He's a guy from a small college, but I think this just speaks to how good of an offense Kyle Shanahan runs. I mean, it is plug and play with that guy, down 2 running backs, down your tight end, down receivers, down your starting quarterback, down offensive lineman, and he puts up 36 points on the road in a back-to-back East Coast spot. Yeah. This coach is a difference maker week after week. It doesn't matter who they put on the field on the offensive end. He's going to scheme up a way to get guys open, to get guys running. And something about this team right now, it's almost like, hey, we got everything stacked up against us. It almost took the Super Bowl pressure off of them because now they're so decimated. They have a little fallback.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they can sneak in 9-7, 10-6, get healthy towards the end of the year, and maybe make a run at this thing.
Mm-hmm. And then my final point from this game is me and the co-host Jalen Johnson back at episode 52 of the Fourth Lawn podcast. We were talking injuries from week 2 and which one had the most impact. I said Saquon Barkley because Daniel Jones needed him as a running back. And now look, the week that Barkley's out, who's your leading rusher in New York? It's Daniel Jones with 5 carries for 49 yards.
Maybe he's the next Fitzpatrick. There's a lot of those guys roaming around.
Don't insult Ryan Fitzpatrick like that, okay? It's messed up, man.
I don't know if Daniel Jones can grow a beard like that.
Also, he can never grow the chest hair. That.
Oh, no.
That's a force right there. Next game. Here we go. A round of applause. Because it only took to week 3 for us to get our very first tie of the season. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Bengals this time. And man, it's are you surprised that it's the Bengals and Eagles that get the first tie? It's my thing is it's unbelievable. I just want to focus on the quarterbacks for this game. Rookie quarterback Joe Burrow. Unbelievable that his offensive line may very well be the worst offensive line in the league. We saw that play where he got leveled.
I thought he was done. I thought he was out.
I thought he died. And now going to this week, we have the Bengals coaching staff saying we want him to be smarter when it comes to taking hits. How about
you're gonna put that on Joe Burrow? All right, guy.
How about you actually get something more than a damn turnstile as the offensive line in front of him? And also, but he still went out and performed 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is rock solid. But then you have Wentz on the other hand.
Eesh.
He sucks. I saw the stat where they are right now in QBR. If Russell Wilson threw 45 consecutive interceptions, he would still have a better QBR than Carson Wentz.
Oh my gosh. That is substantial.
That's
what a stat nugget right there, Ross.
It's nice.
Wow. I mean, let's kind of just dial this game back.
Can we soak that in real quick? 45 straight interceptions.
That is crazy.
He goes up.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow this game, he's kind of, I mean, you got to think he's one of those guys that's just absolutely stewing right now because he's like, this is the team that I'm drafted to now. I'm now a quarterback of this team. We don't get recruits next year.
Well, he goes from LSU where they had the best offensive line in the country. Literally, award-winning offensive line.
And he's still kind of putting up numbers. I mean, the one thing the Bengals can think about is, okay, we've said it before on here, but they have their guy. This is one of those guys where, I don't know if he's going to be the one that's going to want to sign here long term, but
is he going to survive long enough to make the next contract?
I mean, you never know, but man, this Eagles team, what is going on with them? I mean, Carson Wentz 2 years ago, or was it 2 or 3 years ago?
2 years ago,
he was the MVP front runner before he went into the LA Stadium, the LA Coliseum, tore up his ACL on a play where he scored a rushing touchdown, stayed in for the 2-point conversion.
And of course, BDN takes over.
Yeah, and little did he know that was kind of the last time he was going to be an upper echelon quarterback. And he's still one of those guys where you think that he's good just because of he wears the armband. He's got a big arm. He can kind of run a little bit. You're like,
he's got the visor.
This guy
got the visor.
Yeah, what's wrong with this guy? And it's just, I think he's inaccurate. He doesn't have confidence in his throws. It seems like he's a little timid when he's thrown over the middle. He's making bad reads.
Certainly doesn't help that he doesn't have a receiving core that helps him out by any means, or offensive line for that point when he got sacked by 8 to 10 times in week 1. So, he's an average quarterback with a very below average team, and that just does not mix. If Joe Burrow could get a good offensive line in front of him, if Tyler Boyd and AJ Green could be consistent, and if Joe Mixon could actually play to how much he's making with his new contract, he's going to be very successful for a very long time. That is for damn sure. Joe Cool is here to stay. Next game we need to talk about is the Texans at the Steelers. The Texans, surprisingly, I was watching this game. They got off to an early lead, fizzled out very quickly. The Steelers still stay really good on defense. The offense is still clicking. James Conner is doing good things so far. We have Big Ben just doing Big Ben things where he just stays in the pocket for like 10 seconds, brushes off a few defenders like they're nothing. And then he gets the ball down the field. I think he had another couple of touchdowns this game, which is all he really needs to do. And that Steelers front seven continues to dominate the football.
Yep. I mean, the front seven held Saquon Barkley to -8 yards in the first half in their first game. I mean, I think it was something around like 20 or 30 rushing yards that first game. And this week right here, 15 carries for 29 yards for this Houston team. And they have a rushing quarterback. And, obviously their run game isn't as strong as some of the other teams. But, holding a team under 2 yards a carry over 15 carries is so impressive in the NFL these days. I mean, one run of 20 yards completely blows that average out of the water. And I think their long run on the day was like 5 or 6 yards or something like that. So this Pittsburgh defensive line is legit. And same thing with the Titans. This Pittsburgh team has really not played anyone substantial yet. I mean, I don't think they've played a team with a win yet, if I'm not mistaken. They played the Giants, the Broncos, and the Texans.
Yeah.
So their teams are 0-9. So this is a Steelers team that's feeling right now.
Better than Steelers, I guess, based off of that.
Maybe. So, I mean, it's a common theme here, seeing the Broncos getting beat up by these good teams. But, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense looks manageable. They look like an 8 to 15 ranked offense, nothing flashy yet. Connor's kind of getting his work. I think Anthony McFarland looked really good on Sunday.
Juju Smith had another great reception touchdown.
Yep, Juju looks like he's kind of back to his normal spot. And with here's the small kind of key thing that I think was difference maker this offseason is bringing in Chase Claypool and having James Washington already inserted on the outside gives Juju that ability to go back into the slot, work with Deontay Johnson. They run a lot of 4 wide receiver sets, and having Juju not on the outside in those sets allows him to have a full route tree. He's incredibly smart, a gifted route runner, great hands, and working out of the slot, he can create mismatches that Big Ben can exploit. And it's a much, much better landing spot for him than having to be outside, similar to a Cooper Kupp in his role. Once he moves to the inside, he just gets a lot better because he's more dynamic there.
And what about Eric Ebron finally built a step in, having his breakout game of the season? He was doing great things when he was in Indianapolis. Now he's stepping in, finally making some plays. I think he was like the first or second best tight end in points for fantasy football this week. So if Eric Ebron could make some plays in the middle, that's only going to open up way more for Juju.
They have a lot of weapons on that team, and if Big Ben stays healthy, and I don't know how he couldn't stay healthy, he doesn't move back there. So I think they're in an okay spot there. And with that defense they have, I mean, the floor for this team I think has got to be 10, 11 wins, and they're going to be probably the first wild card. And even if they have an upset or two against the Ravens here, they might be able to sneak a Division 1 in there.
Well, they just have a really good thing going for them. They have the return of the steel curtain, which is going to win you football games. They remind me of the Super Bowl winning 2015-16 Denver Broncos team, where they have a rock solid defense right there. I mean, you probably can't compare the two because the Broncos literally had a historical defense. And then their offense wasn't the best. The Steelers' offense is better than that Broncos' offense for sure. But it's where your defense is going to control the game. And as long as the offense just puts up a decent amount of points and they control time of possession, it's over for any team that takes them on. Now,
I mean, it kind of reminds me of the 2019-2020 49ers defense when I thought we were just going back and forth on the Homer thing. So
I mean, I'm okay with that. Well, it's being Homer, but then also you literally can't deny the fact that that team was historic. So
yeah,
great
defense, and we'll see it moving forward.
Yeah, I don't watch games from this year. I watched them all from the Super Bowl season because that's the last time I was really happy.
It's the last time you had a healthy defensive line.
And when was the last time we could think of Jets fans having a good team to root for?
Yikes, Joe Namath. Mark
Mark
Sanchez,
Mark Sanchez.
The Rex Ryan led Jets
Rex
teams.
Ryan and Mark Sanchez. Rex Ryan, the man.
Bring Rex Ryan back, maybe.
Rex Ryan, the man that got a tattoo of his wife wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey. If we all remember that one. Uh,
Yikes!
I don't know,
Yikes!
but the Jets are
That's not going to age well.
the Jets are the worst team in football by far. They just don't have a product to put on the field. The Colts got there 36-7. 36-7. Sam Darnold, the guy that was the quarterback of the future, 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Oh, it's Sam Darnold sucks. It's over. If the Balls can bench Mr. Trubisky, it's time for the Jets to bring in. Shit, who's your backup? It's not Josh McCown anymore.
No, it's not someone good. It's got to be someone like Christian Hackenberg or some weird person like that.
Bring back Tim Tebow.
Oh my gosh! But here's the thing with the Colts team is
Joe Flacco. That's right. He sucks.
Oh
well, no, sorry.
gosh.
He's elite.
Yeah,
Elite.
but I mean this Colts team is got a defense that, believe it or not, they're number 1 right now in DVOA, which is your defensive value, offensive adjusted. So it's kind of adjusting for them playing the Jets, playing the Jags, playing the Vikings. Defense is fast. They have a really good secondary, and I think the scheme that they run on offense is just kind of, they control the tempo. They're going to run the ball. They have that big offensive line, and they're going to be able to control the time of possession and allow that defense to kind of eat up the offenses. And I think this is a team we also need to see them play some better competition and get them in a situation where we can see them against an offense that also has a comparable defense to go with it. I mean, I feel like it's kind of been one or the other that they play in the last couple of weeks, but this Jets team is atrocious. I don't want to spend any more time talking about them. I mean, Sam Darnold, he threw 2 pick sixes and they scored 7 points.
Yeah.
How do you win?
I don't think you do.
Don't.
I don't think you do. I think, the Colts,
Not that formula.
In most fantasy leagues, they put up like 27 points this week, which is more than my quarterback put up. In a running back, it was just awful. And if the Colts didn't blow it to the Jags in week 1, we'd be talking about this team in a lot higher of a light. We'd be holding them a lot higher. But of course, it blew it. We need to see real competition. It's not going to be within that division unless it's the Titans. So we'll see. And then I just love what Jonathan Taylor's doing over there. And he's been good for fantasy for me. So I love him. Going on to the next game, we had the Panthers at the Chargers. The Panthers taking this one 21-16. Matt Rule gets his first NFL win. And Justin Herbert with another good start. I mean, 330 yards, 1 touchdown. He did have an interception, but that's not bad.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit there with the Justin Herbert start there. I mean, I think on paper the stats look decent.
Yeah.
But he wasn't really able to. I don't know. It just didn't seem like he was as in control of the game as he was the first week. I mean, you get down at home. I mean, obviously it's not a. We know all the stipulations, but they're in their home stadium. They didn't have to travel last week. Exactly, but you're playing on your field that you played last week at. It's not a good team in the Panthers. They just lost their best offensive player. Their defense is young. He just didn't seem like he had a control of the offense quite yet. And I think this was just a first-year quarterback in a second start where a defense actually got to scheme against him. He looked like he was uncomfortable in the pocket. He was able to push the ball down the field, but he wasn't able to fit the ball into tight windows like he was in the first week, and couldn't really work well in the red zone. So I don't think he's going to have this season filled with sunshine and daisies that everyone thought after week 1 against the Chiefs, but he's a good quarterback. He's got some good tools to him. I think he just needs to hone those in a little bit. Needs to make sure that he's, obviously got a good relationship with the game plan, and he knows it in and out, because it just didn't look like he was super confident in the throws and reads he was making. And I think that just comes with age, and it's not something to be unexpected from a quarterback playing his second game in the NFL.
I think the best way to put it is that he just looked like a rookie quarterback in this game. I was shocked. He overperformed in week 1 or in his first start. I really do believe that if the Chargers don't mess this up, they might actually have a franchise quarterback in there. and there's no way in hell. I'm probably just going to jinx him right now, but there's no way in hell he's worse than Philip Rivers. There's no
Can't
way.
be.
Right, He can't be. The next
He's
game,
got a higher ceiling.
yes, that is for damn sure. Or sorry, we're talking about Philip Rivers. That's for darn tootin' sure. I don't know. I can't even talk as nice as he does. It blows my mind. But that's what happens
It's
when
really
you have.
impressive.
That's what happens when you have 12 kids. You can't cuss anywhere because someone's always listening. Okay, so that's honestly probably where
And
it comes
someone's
from.
always underage.
I can't wait till he has his own football team. That's going to be
Oh my
a
gosh.
lot. Jeez,
He's even got a kid coach.
it's something right there. He has a full-on posse rolling with him.
Yeah.
This next game, though, man, the Bucks and the Broncos. Here we go.
You want to skip it? Do you want to skip it? I give you one
No,
chance.
no. I'm not skipping
Okay.
this because I'm
Okay.
actually proud of the headline came up for this game. Here we go. Battered Broncos blasted by Brady's Bucks. Ooh.
Wow, that is some alliteration right there.
That's all I
Amazing
came up with.
alliteration.
Brady, took advantage of really short fields and just
Yep.
a bad Broncos team. Jeff Driscoll is not a starting quarterback.
Nope.
The Broncos are not a contender.
Nope.
Jarrell Casey now out for the season with a torn bicep.
Yep. Kind of figured.
The Broncos now, in terms of injured players and how much money they take up on in the salary cap, the second place team trails them by $20 million of salary cap, and that just gives me 20 million reasons to want to punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah, I mean this game was just kind of one of those underwhelming games where the Bucks had it kind of wrapped up in the first half. You didn't see much happen in the second half. What you did see that I was kind of surprised about was them punt from Jeff Driscoll that often. I mean, it's not like you had this world-beating backup quarterback that was gonna, kind of pushing for the starting job the whole year. I mean, it's Brett Rippon. I mean, he's good story. He's got a cool uncle that was, obviously a really good quarterback in the NFL, but I think it's time to bring out the boat. I mean, Denver's at high altitude. I don't know if he's going to be able to get his boat all the way up there from LA, but Blake Bortles needs to be in this game on this Thursday at some point. He was never one of those guys to really dive too deep in the playbook. I don't think he needs that much preparation time. You just kind of go out there, put a helmet on so he doesn't have to show his balding head, and you just kind of say, hey, man, like, do better than Jeff Driscoll and Brett Rippon. I don't think that's a very high bar that he has got to beat there.
No,
So.
I mean the boat is the boat, of course, but Brett Rippon, you have to remember he is the greatest Broncos quarterback of all time. Okay.
What about that guy Jared Zlatterberg
No.
did the Statue of Liberty play in 2007?
Well, he
No?
may have done that, but he was no Brett Rippon. Okay. I mean,
It's true.
Kellen
Put up
Moore's
some big
cool.
numbers at the Broncos.
Broncos legend Brett Rippon takes the field this week. Is the spin
For the
I'm trying to
Broncos.
put? Trying to
Oh my
put.
gosh.
I'm trying to be positive, but it's so.
It's got to be tough. Really got to be tough.
It's I don't like it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
We'll move it back. I gave you a chance at the beginning of that.
No,
recap
I
there
face
to
the music,
opt out of
Alex.
it, but
There is no
2020
opting
is
out.
the opt-out year. You could have.
No. I face the music. I am a man when it comes to this, and the Broncos suck.
You're 40.
The Broncos are just awful. But let's
Mhm.
the Thursday night game is going to be extremely painful to lose. I'm preparing the Broncos to lose to the New York Jets, and when that does happen, I'm going to go out on the roof. I'm just going to sit on the ledge and wait for a breeze just to end it all because
Oh boy. We're gonna have to send you to that G-Eazy song with the suicide hotline in there. But so here's actually an interesting question I have for you as a Broncos fan. I want
Yes.
you to really rack the brain. They go 1-15 this year. They get the number 1 overall pick. Do you pull the trigger on Trevor Lawrence, or do you sell Trevor Lawrence to the highest bidder and hopefully you get 2 or 3 draft picks out of it?
you sell. I'm still
That much of a Drew Lock stand?
No. Okay, because Drew Lock is no Trevor Lawrence. Don't get me
No,
wrong. He is not
not at
Trevor
all.
Lawrence. But Drew
I don't
Lock.
think anyone is right now. I think there's
thing
maybe
is,
10 quarterbacks that I'd rather have over Trevor Lawrence.
The problem with the Broncos though is not at the quarterback position. If Drew Lock can just go out there and be average, they'll be fine. It's an offensive line. It's that defensive secondary right now. And
Yeah.
so if they could fix those two And if they could actually be healthy, this is an entirely different Broncos team. They are in a clean IR sheet and
Mm-hmm.
a offensive line and defensive backfield. They're a few positions away from being a real contender. So I take those two other first round picks you're going to get for that,
Mm-hmm.
and you move back. You do not take Trevor Lawrence. You draft high value players at other positions because Drew Lock can still be the quarterback of the future, and it's better to build around him than it is to replace him.
As long as you think so.
Hey, I don't think so. I know so.
Wow,
Move
the
on into the
confidence.
Lions and the Cardinals. Damn right, Alex, because I just put on the brave face in the front because that's all I got at
Stay
this
away from
point.
that ledge there, Ross.
I'm getting closer. The Lions, they get their Lion fans talking about you. You guys get backed off the ledge for a week. You get your first win in 11 games since last October as they come back to beat the Cardinals. Matt Prater, a guy that's known to be clutch, he sinks a game-winning field goal as time expires. And the key of this game was Kyler Murray. His MVP campaign is in shambles. 3 interceptions in this game. Easily one of his worst starts of his career.
Yeah, I mean, this was the rematch game of the tie last year, so I guess both teams have revenge on their mind, and the Lions got the best of them. I mean, just kind of a sloppy game all around. Murray was kind of careless with the ball. Uh, too many, just really bad play calling by the Lions offense. I mean, Adrian Peterson at this stage in his career should never be getting 22 carries. I mean, not even 10 carries. I mean, even that's too much. But I think it was a combination of the Cardinals being sloppy. The Lions got Kenny Golladay back in the lineup, which really, really changes the dynamic of their offense because they now have two big receivers on the outside, Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay, with TJ Hawkinson working the inside, and you still have Amendola working the slot. I mean, it just kind of balances out that offensive roster to a logical spot
Mm-hmm.
where you have guys playing in their normal roles, and Stafford can still sling the ball around. So this team can be dangerous as an underdog. I don't think they're going to be burning any playoff roads down anytime soon. But they're a frisky team, 7-9, 8-8 team that if they get hot or if they go against some teams with battered with some
Mm-hmm.
injuries could potentially surprise some people. But I think this was just a sloppy game from the Cardinals, and they got to get it out of their system quick.
Yep. Next game though is a game that had, in terms of me and you, of course, the Seahawks and Cowboys care about this game, but in terms of me and you, there was a
Yeah.
lot riding on this game. Me, who is big on the Seahawks, and Alex, you've been giving me some crap in my power rankings recently based on them, and you're a man that was huge on the Cowboys at the very beginning of the season and within the first couple weeks as well. So, our two teams, Han the Seahawks, you're Han the Cowboys, they go off and they play each other while half the country sucked watching the dumpster fire that is the Denver Broncos and the Bucks. Another part of the country was actually lucky enough to be able to watch this glorious game because it was a very good game. The Seahawks edged the Cowboys in game of the year so far, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
Russell
mean,
Wilson dominates with Tyler Lockett getting the hat trick, 315 yards, 5 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett with 3 touchdowns. DK Metcalf might be the biggest deep receiving threat in the NFL right now, and it's once again it's the Cowboys' turnover problems that comes back to bite them in the butt.
yeah, I mean, this was an incredible game all the way around, besides the defensive end, and we're just going to skip over that because it's no fun to talk about defense
Who
of
needs
these two teams
defense? No.
because they're really bad. I mean, both units are really, really bad. This Seahawks defensive backfield, and this was kind of the one hiccup I still have with this team, no matter how good that offense is, no matter how good Russell Wilson is when it gets down in crunch time, are they going to be able to get a stop against a team like the Packers, a team like the Chiefs, a team like um, I mean, even this Cowboys team, when they see him later in the year, potentially in the playoffs, Dak Prescott put up a lot of yardage against them. They have 3 receivers. They can't cover any of them. I mean, this was a lot closer game than that 7-point margin looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cowboys looked like they were going to stop the Seahawks for a field goal and maybe have a chance to go down there and win it. They had ample time in the last possession, just kind of fizzled out there at the end. But Seahawks got out to a huge lead. They took their foot off the gas. Cowboys came back. Dak's got that kind of offense. I mean, we haven't learned anything new about this Cowboys team. They've played really, really good teams. I mean, even though the Falcons are 0-3, they're a good team on offense.
They should be
Obviously,
2-1. They should be 2-1.
The Rams are a really good team, and the Seahawks team is a really good team. So we haven't learned a ton about the Cowboys other than the fact that they're obviously going to win the NFC East going away. It's not even close.
Are you sure it's not going to be the name redacted taking that one?
Oh my gosh! I mean, they're in first place right now, I guess.
They're still in first place.
Yeah, but this
we're
Cowboys
week 3.
team,
We're going to week 4, Alex, and the name redacted is still in first place.
That's crazy.
The AFC East or the NFC East, ladies and gentlemen, just so talented.
Yeah, but this Cowboys team almost has 13 preseason weeks now to get ready for the playoffs because they could run out their JV squad against any team from the NFC East and get a win.
Yeah.
And what they need to figure out is, first off, they need to get their linebacking core healthy. Van Der Esch and Zach Lee need to get healthy. I don't know how possible that's going to be, especially by the end of the year. But their defensive backfield's a mess right now. Their whole defense is not in a great spot. Their offense is great. They need to get a little more play action pass going right now, I think, just because, they're still kind of wasting some possessions and wasting some drives, just kind of feeding Zeke because you feel like you need to feed Zeke because he's got a tattoo on his stomach. But, both these teams are good. They have great offenses, great quarterbacks, leading high-powered passing offenses, and it's just going to be a shootout every time both of these teams take the field.
Mm-hmm. Now, our Sunday night game was actually I was impressed on what we saw from the action. The best Sunday night game of the season so far. We had the Packers and the Saints. The Packers edging the Saints in New Orleans 37-30. The thing is, Aaron Rodgers keeps that revenge tour going. But we got to see Drew Brees the first couple weeks. He's been questioned. Oh, is he done, essentially? Especially after they lost to the Raiders. Is he done? He's just been dinking and dunking this whole season so far. But we finally got to see him push the ball down the field. And then we also saw Alvin Kamara just do stupid things. We saw that one. He broke like 8 tackles in that one play alone. And just weird stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Alvin Kamara is that guy. I think that whole year last year, he was kind of hampered by injuries. Yeah. And when you have a guy that's so dependent on being shifty, making guys miss, and kind of, getting the ball downfield with a run after catch, it's just so key for them to be able to be healthy all year. And one thing I will say is I'm going to push back a little bit. I don't think Drew Brees threw the ball downfield over 20 yards this whole game. So, while he was able to get the ball downfield on paper, what it looked like, he wasn't pushing the ball down the field still. Most of his throws were 5 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. He's still not able to get those deep breaking routes. He's not taking huge drops right now. He's, even with those route combinations that are working downfield, you're still checking the ball off. Kamara had 13 catches for 100 and some odd yards, which, is great. It looks great in the stat sheet, but it really kind of begs the question, does Drew Brees have the ability to push the ball down the field?
To you then, is this the last year, no matter what, for Drew Brees? Is he done? Is he over?
I think he was done last year. I think if Jameis Winston plays in this game, the Saints win.
Ooh.
I think Drew Brees might be the third best quarterback on his own team.
Well, damn.
I don't care that he had almost 300 yards, 29 for 36, 3 touchdowns. He didn't look good still. I mean, he's still just dinking and dunking down the field. He can't push the ball down the field. They have to bring in Taysom Hill to throw the ball, more than 30 yards downfield. And it's just one of those things where if he plays against any team that can scheme up something in a playoff game, he has no options. What is he going to do? Is he just going to suddenly remember how to throw the ball?
Well, it doesn't matter what they do in playoff games anyway, because either they just do something stupid on defense or they arguably get screwed over by the refs. So,
yeah, I mean, he just, Drew Brees looks off. He's obviously washed. Jameis, I think, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Drew Brees went down with an injury for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, damn. Uh, at least we got to move on from Drew Brees into what this is very highly anticipated Monday night game. Of course, we had arguably the top two teams in NFL going at it over there in Baltimore. We had the best player in the NFL top 100 against the number 4 player of the NFL top 100 being Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, respectively. Patrick Mahomes, after this game, kind of talking a little smack about that ranking,
He
along with
hinted at
his
it a little bit.
fiance. Oh, he a little more than hinted at it. I think
Yeah.
he almost just pretty much said it. But the Chiefs beat up on the Ravens. The Chiefs win this one 34-20, and I don't really think the score was the game wasn't as close as the score shows. I mean, a 14-point loss is huge, but the Ravens just look bad in this one against the Chiefs.
Here's a little thing to keep in the back of your head. I mean, I've had Lamar on a couple of fantasy teams here, and I've watched their offense over the last 20 games pretty closely, pretty intently. And today, it just didn't seem like they did much that was at all, innovative. They didn't do anything besides vanilla play calling. They didn't really throw the ball down the field. They, ran a lot of basic sets, didn't throw any trick plays out there, didn't do anything. And I'm just, something in the back of my head is making me wonder, is this kind of posturing a little bit for a potential playoff encounter? Is this, I don't want to throw too much right now
Don't want to
because
open up the playbook to
yeah,
them.
we got a lot of things cooking. I mean, they didn't use J.K. Dobbins very much today or on Monday. They had a great first drive, and after they were like, okay, we can kind of move the ball on the Chiefs. I'm wondering if a little bit in the back of their head is like, we know that we can win a majority of the games that we play in the regular season. I know the bye is a huge thing. Obviously, it's a big deal to have a bye. But what's going to be the issue having to play against the 7th seed if you're the Ravens? I mean, you get 1 week where you can kind of tune everything up. I honestly think a bye for them last week or last year kind of put them in a little bit of a setback because I think that's an offense that's based on rhythm. You need Lamar Jackson moving. He hated sitting out week 17. He hated getting that bye. You give him 2 weeks off and his offense just doesn't look as crisp. I don't think they unleash the playbook for this game because they know it's a regular season game. But this is also just me completely throwing something out there, and
It sounds like
may
you're
just
onto
be a
something.
case.
It
May
like
just be a case where Lamar, like you said, the Chiefs are my kryptonite, which is never something you want to hear out of your starting quarterback.
Imagine if
next best
John
team in the
Harbaugh
AFC.
out coaches Andy Reid. John Harbaugh is out here. He's playing 4-dimensional chess while Andy Reid's over here playing checkers on his on his barbecue menu when he's waiting for his food to come out.
I mean, John Harbaugh might have just outcoached Andy Reid in a loss. I mean, that'd be pretty impressive. That's something to wrap your mind around.
Whoa, I think you just launched all sorts of conspiracy theories out here.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
something
good.
to keep in the back of your head, just a little bit.
I really, really want to believe in that. Sweet damn, we need an X-Files theme song right now for this.
They need. I'm actually kind of hoping they don't play in the playoffs, so I can just assume that I'm right on that. But if they do play, it's gonna be a big deciding factor in my take ability this year. So I'm hoping I'm kind of hoping they don't play in the postseason, so I can just sit on it. But if they do play and the Ravens come out and roll them, mark this episode down, timestamp it.
I will, 100%. But that's our week 3 recap. Now we had week 1. We had a little segment, contender or pretender. We talked quarterbacks in this one. Now we're talking the 3-0 teams that we have so far, and those include the Bills, Steelers, Titans, Packers, Seahawks, Bears, and after Monday it is the Kansas City Chiefs. So, besides the Bears, who is the worst 3-0 team on this list?
I think it's, and we kind of alluded to it before in the podcast, but it's one of the Steelers or the Titans. Titans have
Pick your
played.
side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say the Titans because I think the Steelers have at least an identity right now, and I think the Titans do too. but the Titans defense is not playing up to the par that the Steelers are. I think the Titans have a little bit of a more dynamic offense just because Tannehill has the ability to run a little bit. And I think their big play guys, Derrick Henry and AJ Brown, have a little bit more game breaking ability than the Steelers do. The Steelers have great offensive pieces, but AJ Brown can take the top off of defense and Derrick Henry can break a 70-yard run just by running over guys. So I think they have a bigger ceiling on the offensive side, but the Steelers defensive unit is legit. I think they are a top 1, top 2 defensive unit in the NFL right now. So I'm going to give the nod to the Steelers in saying that I think the Titans are the second worst 3-0 team besides the Bears. But it's kind of splitting hairs there. They both haven't played anybody. We both don't have a good read on him. But because the Steelers have that defense, I give them the edge.
I'm going to roll with the Titans on this. Or the Steelers. I'm going to go opposite of you. The Steelers are the worst 3-0 team on this one. Partially because at least the teams that the Titans have played have a combined 1 win. So that holds a lot of weight. I love how dynamic this offense can be when Derrick Henry is clicking, when Ryan Tannehill is clicking. We have hardly even seen A.J. Brown the stat sheet this year. He's been quiet, and once he finally gets involved in that offense, that is going to be huge. Steven Gostkowski, if they can just get inside the 40 right now, they got almost a guaranteed 3 points right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. You wouldn't be able to say that after week 1.
No.
And AJ Brown's been hurt, so I mean, you got to give him that. So when he gets back, he'll
and then also this defense does rival the Steelers. Jadeveon Clowney was a huge offseason signing for them. Vic Beasley, when he was with the Falcons, he was rock solid in that Super Bowl run. He's doing really well there. Malcolm Butler can still make some huge plays for them. Jayden Brown has been big inside that middle. And then also, if we want to talk about the similarities, big offensive lineman. I mean, he's not as tall as Alejandro Villanueva, all 6'10" of that former Army Ranger that just, oh man, I can't imagine being in the desert and being one of the guys that is tasked to have to shoot at him.
Be tough to hide with him, but I think he'd be good just rushing people.
He's just a straight up tank with that one. But Taylor Lewan, he is really good for the Titans. He might be one of my favorite tackles. He might be my favorite offensive lineman besides the real man, Quinn Nelson. But he plays with fire, he plays with passion, and he's really good. As a team,
I'm gonna push back on you a little bit there, just with the Titans defense. I mean, they look great on paper, but I don't know, just something about it's not clicking where they're not getting a good interior pass rush, which is what Jadeveon Clowney needs really to be effective on the outside. I mean, when you think about it, with the Texans, he had J.J. Watt creating havoc.
Yeah, he's not doing anything wrong. I just don't. The Titans they've underperformed so far this year.
I don't see it yet. I need them to prove to me on the defensive end that they're able to keep a Minnesota Vikings team under 30 points. Just ridiculous.
Now that's fair. It's hard because head-to-head, neutral playing field, the ultimate way to determine who's the worst out of these two teams, assuming both these teams are on the top of their game, neutral playing field, like I said, I think the Titans win this game 6 times out of 10. I think they just barely edge the Steelers on this one. I really want to see these two teams play each other right now.
I really do too. I mean, they got to play sometime later in the year, right?
I think so.
Let's crunch the numbers. But I mean, here's another thing too: is when the Colts are coming into Tennessee this week. Tennessee's going to be at home. Obviously, that game's in a little bit of a flux right now.
Yeah, they actually play week 4, so we get to see them next week.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's right. So we're going to have to wager on this one.
There's going to have to be something here. Maybe if the Steelers win, I get to make some power rankings, and you got to comment on those.
Ooh, I will accept that. I will accept that.
What are your terms?
If when the Titans win, you just get to you get to admit that I'm just better than you when it comes to talking football. I mean,
that's honestly a lot worse than your punishment, but
the honor kill. Well. I'm going with the honor kill. Okay.
I accept as well. Where's it at? Is it in Pittsburgh or Tennessee?
I do believe it is in Tennessee.
You can have a crutch. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
Not
okay.
worried. I'm not
If
worried
if
about
we
you.
want to go with this one, I think to be fair, let's see the spread on this one. Um,
No, I'll take the Steelers straight up.
are
I'm
we?
not worried
Oh, we're
about it.
taking it straight up.
I don't need no points.
Oh, okay.
I don't need the
I love
points.
this. I love this. We had Dallas and Seattle last week. Now we get our Steelers and I swear, no matter, it's always going to work out. Each game of every single week going forth is going to have something writing on it just from our
There's gonna
arguments.
have to be, yeah. It's gonna be a takeoff.
Yes, but Titans are not the worst 3-0 team besides the Bears. That's a caveat. That's an asterisk right here because obviously we all know the game Among Us. There is a posture among us, and it is the Chicago Bears. But
Yep.
besides that, the Steelers are the worst 3-0 team right now.
Yikes. Okay, let's move on.
Now we get to wrap it with our power rankings. Alex has always had a little bit of a beef with mine, which is understandable, but he's still wrong. Let's see what he thinks of this one this week. Starting off at number 5, a previously unranked team. We have the Buffalo Bills making their first appearance onto the top 5 power rankings going into
Welcome,
week 4.
Buffalo.
I think this is great. This
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen is thriving right now. The offense is looking good. Stephon Diggs is doing good things there, and that defense has underperformed so far this season, and they've still been good. The Bills have a lot of upside with them. If they have to take this division, and they can make a big run in the playoffs, right? As what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I think even this Bills defense is kind of underperforming right now. I mean, their defensive line is still a little bit young with Ed Oliver being the key player there. Trey White, he had such great offensive or defensive stats last year that he's not living up to everything currently. But they've played against not the teams like the Steelers and the Titans. Obviously, this Rams team is really, really good. And, like we said earlier, it was big of them to be able to get down in that fashion. I mean, normal teams would have crushed under that pressure, but they didn't waver. They didn't pull Falcons. They were able to actually come back, even though if it was kind of gifted to them by that kind of ghost PI call there. Yeah. But, this Bills team is complete. And that's, I think, the biggest compliment I can give them is they don't really have any holes right now. I think even Devin Singletary is a little underutilized right now, but he's got some shiftiness to his game. Great pass catcher. There's just not many holes on this offense right now or defense.
The Bills deserve this spot because last week I had the Rams at number 5. They go out and they beat the Rams. They should be able to take that number 5. For me this week is between the Bills and the Titans and the Steelers, but I like the Bills more than those other teams. They deserve that number 5. Number 4,
right now.
I have the Green Bay Packers staying put where they are. I thought they could have done better against that Saints team. I thought that defense could have held Kamara and Drew Brees to less of a performance. But Aaron Rodgers did hit his thing. And it wasn't necessarily the Packers not doing enough to move up. It was just the teams in front of them doing enough to stop the Packers from moving up ultimately. I'm okay with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. No qualms here with the 4th spot ranking here.
The Packers are still really good.
I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I don't think they could have done more against the Saints. I mean, you're still going into the Superdome. I get it that there's no fans in there, but it's still kind of an intimidating place to play, and they put up...
You should not be. If you're Aaron freaking
Rodgers... They won by a
Rodgers
touchdown on the road on Sunday Night Football against...
You should be win by 10
offense.
against that. No.
Oh, you need an extra field goal on there, Ross? Is that really going to get it done for you? You need one more field goal on that? I mean,
yeah.
Here's the thing.
Mason Crosby was even... He needs to be a little more clutch, okay? That's all I'm saying. Aaron Rodgers...
We couldn't get the double-digit win for Ross here to be significant enough on the road against one of the other best teams in the NFC.
Hey, it's one of the other best teams, and they're not even winning their division right now, so... Who do we really got to think about?
I'm with you, but I mean the Packers team. We actually didn't spend a lot of time on them when we're talking about that Sunday night game, but their offense looks really incredible.
Aaron Jones.
I mean Aaron Jones is playing out of his mind right now, and I think, God, I'm blanking on their head coach's name right now.
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, Matt LaFleur and Rodgers are actually starting to kind of seems to be a rapport there. I mean, it's hard to say with Aaron Rodgers.
I know it's not saying much when I say this, but it's like Aaron Rodgers likes Matt LaFleur than his actual family.
Maybe. I mean, he actually Matt LaFleur like kind of looks like him in a weird
It's
way.
so
He's got the
weird.
weird hair thing flip going on, but I mean, their offense is clicking. Their defense has playmakers on it, which is what you need with a good offense like that. You don't need a unit that's going to stop teams dead in their tracks. You need a couple good defensive
And we
players,
have it.
Darius
When
Smith,
was the last
Preston
time we
Smith.
saw that in Green Bay too? They've never had for the longest time. They
It's
haven't had
been
a
a while.
Green.
I mean, it's been a long time, um, and they have guys that just can create havoc and create turnovers, which is what Aaron Rodgers needs. Because if you give Aaron Rodgers a short field, I mean, that's just
It's over.
kind of asking for it. But this team is not complete, I would say, but they're equipped well to Aaron Rodgers' skill set, and I think that they are going to be in the later rounds here in the NFC.
Number 3. Now they get bumped down the spot this week. The Seattle Seahawks move down the spot just based off
I had to
what
hurt a little bit.
a little bit, but I mean, there's my team's my adopted team right now because I'm over Super Bowl 48 at this point. And I hate their fans, but I love Pete Carroll and I love Russell Wilson. So I respect
Okay.
the Seahawks. Hate the
Okay.
city, like the team. They moved down the spot because they had a great performance against the Dallas Cowboys, but that defense is still giving me doubts now. It's really starting to creep in. That defense scares me. And Russell Wilson is going to at least win one MVP vote this year. Maybe he might actually win it somehow in some sort of miracle. But
I think you can lock that in, but this is I tried to tell you last week that you're dumb to ever move the Chiefs down from either the 1 spot or the 2 spot, and it only took you a week, but you did correct yourself, and I'll let you get to that a little bit later. But the Seahawks team is good. Like we said, their offense is almost on a record-breaking pace right now. At least Russell Wilson is. Their Chris Carson injury obviously doesn't help.
the
We've got
Seahawks
some
offense is the
gap
best
fillers
in the
there.
league right now.
Yeah, and
It's
I think
better than the
Rashad
Chiefs.
Penny's coming back here in either this week or next week, and so that's going to
Who needs
mitigate the
Rashad
loss of
Penny?
Chris Carson a little bit.
I mean, it's nice to give him a little bit of a break, but Chris Carson's been doing crazy things this year, and he's finally been able
Yeah,
to
he's
get
he's
at least so
hurt a little
far.
bit.
I'll knock on wood for him, but he's been able to get over his fumbling problem as of late.
Yeah,
So that's huge.
currently. Yep. Yeah, their offense is good. Defense needs work, but you know
Yeah.
they're in a good spot right now.
The number 2 team for this week, it was all up to this Monday night game pretty much. The Ravens move down the spot. They get bumped by the Chiefs. The Ravens number 2. The Chiefs move up 2 spots, retake that number 1 spot. And it just makes sense at this point, just by respect to the wins, and by respect to that Chiefs defense really surprising me in this Monday night game. That's what I give a lot of credit to. I give a lot of credit to that defense for being able to. Although the caveat is, who knows if Alex is a genius and he might think that they're just kind of playing with them.
Maybe have an inside source.
Us, ooh,
Maybe
definitely,
I don't
definitely going to have to keep him
I
on the
don't
show
know.
at that point then. But
know.
but assuming they actually went full effort against the Chiefs and want to win this game, that defense for the Chiefs showed up, and I really have to respect that.
Yeah, I mean this was a marquee matchup early in the year. Chiefs showed up. They went into Baltimore. They won by a big margin, and I think it just kind of solidified that until they get beat late in the year, this is the Super Bowl favorite, and I don't think that there's a team on the NFC that can rival either one of these two teams.
As long as the Seahawks could actually do something with that defense, they'll be scary. They'll be scary as hell.
That is a big if, my friend. A big if. Big if.
If the Broncos could stay healthy, and if the Seahawks could actually have a defense, we'd have a totally different NFL season, I think. But so is the life of being a fan. It's not fun.
You got a Super Bowl. Live for a little
I've
bit.
seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I witnessed one of the most magical seasons, so I'll just stay.
More than I can say. So
I'm turning into a Cowboys fan at this point. I'm just staying in the past because that's the only time I'm happy.
It's a fun place to be in right now.
It's all I
I'll
can
cheer
be in
for
right
you.
now. I appreciate it. Pour one out for me.
I'll put a call into the building right now to make sure we get some guardrails up for you on the roof.
Hey, you might want to get my window barred. Okay, I'm up here on the 5th floor.
Jesus. Oh my gosh.
But that's
Oh,
going to wrap
boy.
it for us this week. This has been another NFL recap. This is for week 3. Everyone enjoy week 4. Don't try your best. Please don't stab your eyes out. Well, I mean, to be honest, hey, I don't care if you stab your eyes out. As long as you have your ears to listen to the show, that's all that matters. Just make it through this Thursday night football game. We'll get to Sunday eventually. But that's going to do it for us this week. There has been the breakdown of every game. Let us know what you think about our contender pretender. Besides the Bears, because that's cheating. You can't choose them. Who is the worst 3-0 team in the league this week? And do you agree, disagree? You have some changes you want to make to the power rankings? Let us know. We would love to hear. Follow us at Fourth Long Radio on Twitter, at Fourth Long Radio Instagram. I think we have a Facebook. If you really want to, we have OnlyFans. Go to our website, thefourthandlong.com. We have everything there. Check out all this fun stuff. Speaking of football, Australian football, you need to check that out. We had a huge preview show for the finals or playoffs for this year. So just a lot of stuff going on right now. If you haven't, more football, XFL kicker Tyler Raza, 2010 decade, all-decade kicker for Boise State. You know, the best kicker in XFL history was on the show. That's a fun listen. So, I mean, you got content. Just
go buy some merch too.
Oh, go buy some merch. You mean like this footy's underrated? Or
mean,
another brand new addition to the shop, Alex. We have our navy blue tri-blend t-shirt with our logo on the chest, logo on the back. It looks like our tank top, but way better cotton, way better looks. And I guarantee that
cotton.
Yep. There it is. Honestly, like,
making me speechless there. Oh my gosh. I mean, the merch just takes your breath away.
It takes the breath away. I'm not even trying to sell at this point. Legitimately, this is a comfortable t-shirt. And honestly,
the cotton sells itself.
The cotton sells itself. Just support me because I'm a broke-ass college student. I'm just trying to make stuff happen.
Hey, man. Appreciate you having me on again. It's always a blast getting to talk with you.
Oh, yeah. I love the arguments.
Great end of the day.
I love it because the thing is, everyone's going through some crazy stuff right now. We've both had crazy days today, whether it be school, whether it be work. But at the end of the day, we just get to talk or listen about football, and that is therapy. And best of all, it's free and doesn't cost you $100, and you don't got to talk that nut job about your feelings. So hell yeah, go football.
Exactly.
We'll catch you guys in episode 53 of the Fourth and Long Podcast.